Hey yo, it's your girl Shara. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Happy Monday. If you don't know what that is, it is Crime and Conviction Day on my channel. So let me just drop my intro. Happy August, guys. That is what I should have started off with. How was your holiday? For the people that who have the 9 to 5, I know you're upset, you never get the extra day, but it is what it is. Oh, sorry. Did y'all go to the beach, the river? I wanna go. I wanna know which part to go. Cause me never gonna wear. We just did them my yard. Anywho, so I did ask you guys if you wanted more cases, a wider scope, and you guys said yes. Some of you guys said stick to Jamaica. Some of you guys said just do the Caribbean. But I am going to go a bit further, and today's case is from Canada. We are going to be talking about Jennifer Pan. So let us jump right in, shall we? So Jennifer was born on June 17th, 1986 to parents Big Ha and Han Pan. They were both Vietnamese and they migrated to Canada, and when they got there they met each other, they got married, and they had a wonderful life. So Jennifer had a younger brother called Felix. Jennifer's parents were hard workers. They worked really hard and bought a house for themselves and their children. They also bought nice cars, a Lexus and a Mercedes. And also they gave their children the best life that they possibly could, and they had high expectations of their kids. Jennifer was made to take piano lessons from she was about 4 years old. She also did figure skating, which she really loved, and she was hoping to take it to the Olympics one day. She trained for most of the days out of the week, but unfortunately she had this really bad knee injury and she had to quit figure skating. At school, Jennifer was in the band and she also played the flute. Jennifer's parents, though, they were really strict. They would pick her up from school every single day and they would monitor her extracurricular activities. She wasn't allowed to go on dates. She wasn't allowed to stay over any other kid's house. She wasn't allowed to go to school dances, so no prom for her, none of this. And on top of that, she wasn't allowed to have any boys as friends. Not even a boyfriend. Any boys at all. Her parents didn't want her talking to boys. Her parents thought that all this, which would be the outings, the staying over houses and stuff like that, would just distract her from her academics. Jennifer was thought to be a good student, and her parents did put a lot of pressure on her to get good grades and straight A's, but Jennifer was pretty average. She was like a 70%, which in Jamaica I think that's like a B minus. In Canada, that's like a C. Jennifer, however, was thriving in her music classes and her piano lessons and her flute playing in the band. So because of her parents' high expectations of her, she would simply just fake her report cards and just put on straight A's and call it a day. At this point in time, she was attending Mary Ward Catholic School, but she was asked to leave because her behavior and her grades were very bad. I don't know how the conversation went down with her parents. They were disappointed, but obviously she moved on to a new school and they kind of just strickened up a bit more on her. Jennifer said that she felt like a prisoner in her own family. Despite her parents' effort to stop her from talking to boys and dating, she met a boy called Daniel Wong. He was also in the school band. He was a grade older than her and he was described as goofy and really social. In 2003, Jennifer's school went on this huge school trip to Europe, and this brought Jennifer and Daniel closer together, or at least it brought Jennifer closer to Daniel. That same summer of 2003, Jenny and Daniel started to date, and of course it was in secret, but they had a really great summer. So things between Daniel and Jennifer were going good, and as it relates to school, Jennifer received an early admission from a university called Ryerson's. However, because she failed one of her classes, this early admission was actually revoked. She hid this from everybody that her early admission was revoked, and she even made a fake acceptance letter and gave it to her parents. So that wasn't the only lie that Jennifer told. She actually didn't graduate high school. She didn't get to do the walk or anything. And I don't know what lies she told her parents to cover that up, but her parents did not know that she did not graduate high school. Jennifer's father wanted her to be a doctor, but you can't force a profession onto someone per se. And the thought of working with people like that made Jennifer sick. So her father and her agreed that she would go to school to be a pharmacologist. High school is finished and it's almost time for Jennifer to go off to college. So she told her parents that she's going to do 2 years at Ryerson's, and then she's going to transfer to the University of Toronto and do 2 more years there. Mind you, she did not get into Ryerson's. By the way, at this point in the video, you guys must be wondering, how could Jennifer be going to college and her parents that's paying for everything don't know that she didn't get in? Well, Jennifer also lied and told her parents that she got a full scholarship and certain grants to get into the university, so her parents would not have to pay for a thing. Also, she took this another level. Jennifer bought books and took notes to make it seem as if she was actually preparing for college. When Jennifer went off to college, she was actually still staying in her parents' house. So she was not allowed to party, she was not allowed to drink, she was not allowed to go on dates. The same rules applied practically. During this time, Jennifer was teaching piano lessons and she was working at a restaurant for extra money, and in her parents' mind, she was still going to school. 2 whole years went by and it was time for Jennifer to transfer to the University of Toronto. So what Jennifer did was ask her parents if she could move in with a female friend called Topaz that lived closer to where the school was located, and after long deliberations, her parents decided that yes, she can move in with Topaz. So the arrangement was, during the week, Jennifer would stay at Topaz's house so she could get to school, and on the weekends, she would be back home with her family. Now, Jennifer was not at Topaz's house. During the week when she was supposed to be at school, she was at Daniel's house. She told Daniel's parents that her parents knew what was going on and they were fine with it, and that's that. Another 2 years passed and it was time for Jennifer to graduate from the University of Toronto. Ow. She found someone online to fake a transcript from the university full of A's. As it relates to graduation, Jennifer lied and said that the school's classes were really large, so everyone was getting 1 ticket to graduation. So she gave it to a female friend because she didn't want to choose either one of her parents and make them feel bad. So all of that happened, and then Jennifer told her parents that she would be volunteering at a lab and she would be working late nights and weekends. How convenient. Then Jennifer convinced her parents to allow her to spend most of her time at Topaz's house. After a while, her parents finally noticed something. Jennifer did not have a uniform nor a key card for this blood testing lab that she should be volunteering at. So Jennifer's parents decided to drop her off at the lab one day. Jennifer was probably scared as hell. She still climbed into the car. They drove down to the blood testing lab and Jennifer got out the vehicle and bolted it inside. Her parents came in after her and they were looking for her, but Jennifer hid until they left. Her parents wanted to see where she worked, and then that happened, so that raised red flags for them. So the next day they actually called Topaz's house, asked to talk to Jennifer, and Topaz was just like, yeah, she's not here. After this phone call, her parents were very suspicious. So when she came home that day, they sat her down and they questioned her, and she finally confessed. Well, she kind of half confessed, not full confessed. She said that she wasn't working at the lab. she did not graduate from the University of Toronto, and she was staying with Danielle and not Topaz. And of course, her parents were very upset by this. They were very disappointed in her, and they started to clamp down even more. They took away her laptop and her phone, and they demanded that she started searching for colleges because she needs to finish college. Her ultimatum from her parents was either go to college or get kicked out. She had to quit the job that she had at the restaurant, and know she was only teaching piano, and also her parents would track the mileage on her car to ensure that she did not go anywhere out of the way. Jennifer tried to sneak and see Danielle whenever she could, but Danielle really and truly was getting sick and tired of her, so he broke things off and he moved on pretty quickly. In the spring of 2010, Jennifer had this brilliant idea to just kill her parents. Jennifer reconnected with an old friend called Andrew, and she shared this idea with Andrew, and Andrew said that he knew someone that could do the job. So he introduced her to Ricardo Duncan. Ricardo said that he would charge her $1,500 to kill her parents. So she gave Ricardo the $1,500, but he practically conned her because he took her money and skedaddled. Fast forward a bit, and Jennifer and Danielle are back on good terms, and they're talking, and they devise a plan to kill her parents. Danielle gave Jennifer an iPhone so they can communicate and talk about their little plan. So Danielle found someone called Homeboy, and trust me, he looks just like his nickname. I was hoping he wouldn't, but he did. And he said that he usually charges $20,000 for this kind of job, but for them, he's going to charge $10,000. On November 8th, 2010, Jennifer walks downstairs to say goodnight to her parents, and then she secretly opens her front door. She then went to the study upstairs and flickered the light on and off a few times. This light could have been seen from outside, and this apparently was a signal to let the perpetrators know that the door was open. Homeboy got two of his friends to help him with this job. So all three of the young men just walked through the Pan's front door. At this point in time, Jennifer's father was upstairs sleeping. Jennifer was upstairs in her room, and Jennifer's mother was downstairs watching TV. By the way, when all of this was happening, her brother was away at college. So the perpetrators walk in. One went upstairs to get Jennifer's father, one went upstairs to get Jennifer, and obviously the mother was in the common area. They instructed Jennifer to get all the money that was in the house, which was like about $3,000, and give it to them, which she did. And then they brought her upstairs and tied her onto the railing with a shoelace. After that, they went downstairs and they shot Jennifer's mother and shot Jennifer's father and left. Jennifer, while being tied to the railing, took her phone and called 911. Now on a 911 call, you could actually hear her father screaming in the background. Fortunately, he wasn't dead. He was shot, he was injured, but he was not dead. Her father actually ran outside and he was all covered in blood. A neighbor saw him and called the police while Jennifer was still on the phone with the police, and an ambulance came, brought him to the hospital, and he was put in an induced coma. So the police took Jennifer to the station to give her statement. She said that two men came into the house. They were demanding money. Afterwards, they took her upstairs, tied her up, went downstairs, shot her parents, and they just left. She was even asked to show how she could have called 911 while being tied to the railing, so she had to demonstrate that. But the police had no reason to keep her, so they had to let her go, and she went about living her normal life. But the police actually were monitoring her. You see, to the police, the whole thing did not add up because it was supposed to be a robbery. However, all that was taken was the $3,000 that Jennifer gave to them, and the luxury vehicles were still in the driveway. The place was not ransacked, and there were other valuables in the house, and they did not take it. Also, what they found strange is they shot Jennifer's mother, shot Jennifer's father, but they just left Jennifer tied upstairs on the railing. Like, if you wanted to kill all of the witnesses, why was Jennifer unharmed? On November 12th, 4 days after the incident, her dad woke up and he was in pretty bad shape, but thank goodness he actually remembered everything. So her father said that when these men came inside, Jennifer was actually talking to one of them as if they were friends, and she was walking up and down in the house with them, and she was definitely not tied to the railings, and he remembered this distinctively. So after this, Jennifer was actually brought in for questioning, and she was in that interrogation room for 9 hours, and then she finally cracked. But obviously, after this girl has been lying her whole life, she's not going to suddenly tell the truth. So what she said is she hired the guys to kill her. She was tired of her life, she was depressed, but she was too scared to off herself. So she hired the guys to come in and kill her, but they got confused and tried to kill her parents. After this story, Jennifer was actually arrested, and when they went through her phone records, they found out who the 3 other guys were, and they also linked Daniel to the crime. Jennifer's trial lasted for 10 whole months. During the trial, Jennifer's team practically said that she snapped under the pressure that her parents were putting on her, and her parents were described as tiger parents. Now, if you don't know what that is, it is practically when the parents are really strict and they have this high expectation of the children. Now, obviously, all of this was thrown through the window because Jennifer was found guilty on December 13th, 2014. All of them were found guilty and received a life sentence without parole after 25 years. So homeboy and his 2 friends, Danielle and Jennifer, they were all sent to prison. It was also court ordered that Jennifer could not have contact with her father, her brother, or the love of her life, Danielle. Today, Jennifer's dad actually suffers from severe anxiety, and he's unable to function properly or to go back to the work that he used to do, which is so sad. Jennifer was actually 22 years old when she decided to come up with this plan to kill her parents, and here are my thoughts. This case right here just sounds like something out of a Lifetime movie. It does sound real. Like, she lied to her parents so much. I'm honestly so confused at the fact that this 22-year-old child decided to murder her parents instead of just going back to college or working hard, or even better, moving out. She could have gotten a job. She could have gotten her own place and tough it out on her own. She was staying over Danielle's house at one point in time. She could have just go back over Danielle's house until she got herself on her feet. But no, the majority of Jennifer's life will be spent in prison. You know, this one, I can't even call it greed. I'm just gonna have to call it stupidity or selfishness, I guess, because she could have, there's so many options. There's so many options, and this little girl jumped to friggin' murder. Anyways, guys, that is my thoughts, and I know that you have thoughts, and I want you to leave them down in the comment section, and we can have a little discussion. As per usual, I will be linking my sources in the description box in case you want to check out the story for yourself. And that is all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next Monday for our next installment for Crime and Conviction. But until then, have a wonderful week, And remember to be a beautiful soul, not just a gorgeous face. Mwah. Bye. It is Crime and Conviction Day. Intro. What the hell did that just fly off?